All right, welcome to the Dr. Ardis Show. I'm your host, Dr. Brian Ardis. I've actually got a special guest here in my home, in my studio, to present a piece of technology he's been developing for, nearly a decade now, as far as I know. But his name is Brian Richards, and he has a company called Sauna.space. And yes, that's the website. You can go there and actually learn more about it. But we're going to learn about the technology here using red light technology as a way of healing. So I've invited you here, and I'm excited that you're here. You also came to the Healing for the Ages conference and was blown away by presentations that we were able to give in the actual conference that we held. And that's basically how we met. You met somebody who was dear friends of mine for the last 5 or 6 years. And then he introduced us both. And I'm very excited to actually introduce my audiences and those worldwide on the technology you've been so influential in creating over the last 10 years. So let's get into it. I want you guys to meet him. This is Brian Richards. Please introduce yourself to the audiences, where you're from, what got you started. You can introduce this book that kind of, I'm assuming, triggered everything for you.
Yeah.
All right, this is Brian Richards. Say hi.
Hi, Brian. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I'm the CEO and founder of Sauna Space. I founded the company about 11 years ago now, so it's been in the incubator for quite a while. And it really started out with my own health problems. I didn't know anything about the science of light or this incredible history that goes back hundreds of years and even more than that of using light as a therapeutic. I just had some health problems that I was trying to figure out. So I didn't.
Can you share some of those?
Yeah. I had acne on my back, and I was lethargic, and I had insomnia, and I would just lay there in bed and not be able to fall asleep very well. So my mom actually recommended sauna, and my parents are both physicians. My mom, though, is more of a biological medicine type practitioner for a long time. And my dad was more conventional. He was a radiologist. So as I grew up, much more inspired really by my mom, my mother's approach than my father's. So she recommended that I check out a sauna. Maybe I'm poisoned. Maybe I need to purify myself a little bit. So I did some research online, and I found that sauna is incredible. It has so many benefits. They're incredibly well researched. I didn't even look at light much at that point, and all the light therapy, the research that we can talk about. But at the end of my sauna research, I did discover this concept by Dr. John and Harvey Kellogg. So this was in 1887 or so. The incandescent light bulb, as we know it, was invented. And then John came around a couple of years later and said, wow, there's something special about these lights. Like, let's use them to make a sauna. And he concluded that he didn't know why, but there's something about the light and the wavelengths that heated you up a lot better and faster than like a Turkish bath or a regular Finnish sauna. And there was something uniquely therapeutic about the light. So he tests this on 50,000 patients in the first decade of the 20th century, documents all of it in this book right here called Light Therapeutics that you have a beautiful new reprint of. And he talks about how he was able to resolve like almost every chronic illness that he came across, and over 200,000 log sauna sessions. And this was published in 1910. So this is a part of a fascinating flurry of scientific inquiry into the use of electric light bulbs to heal the body. And it wasn't just Dr. Kellogg. There's before him, there's this guy, Dr. Babbitt, who wrote I forget what it's called, the frequency of light and color or something like that. And then there's Dr. Gadiali, who was an Indian doctor. He was called the Parsi Edison, actually. And he came over, and all these guys were all contemporaries. So Edison, Gadiali, Babbitt, Tesla, and Kellogg, and a few others as well. And they're all using electric light bulbs or light in some ways. Like Babbitt basically had a kerosene lamp, and then he had a jar of milk next to it, and he would put a colored filter, glass like yellow or blue filter, and the kerosene light would activate, alchemize the milk, and he used it to, and then his patient would drink the milk. It's a fascinating, interesting story. So, and then Gadiali had published his book called The Spectrochrome Therapy, and then Dr. Kellogg. So all these guys were working together, and all of them had incredible results. And of course, from the fallout of the Flexner report, all of that was destroyed in the subsequent 2 or 3 decades. So him chiropractic, midwifery, electric light therapy, magnetotherapy, all these things that they were doing, the cancer spas that they had in the earliest 20th century, and it was lost. But the book, there was a reprint of it, and you can actually read it online. It's called Light Therapeutics.
Light Therapeutics. I want to speak to something in here too. You're mentioning diseases and chronic illnesses, and some of you watching may be wondering, why is Dr. Ardis educating us on light therapy? Well, because in 1908, I'm reading in this book that they were able to cure pulmonary tuberculosis.
Mm-hmm.
They even were curing lupus using
vulgaris.
lights. And I'm like, this is not a joke. If people don't know my history, my sister was diagnosed with lupus when she was age 11. So I've been like overwhelmingly passionate about uncovering cures for autoimmune disease. And so to read the word lupus was actually known and diagnosed back in the early 1900s. I had no idea that in the first century of the 1900s that they even knew what lupus was or even had a diagnosis for it. So to read it in this book by Kellogg, I was like, oh my God. And yes, this guy is related to the Kellogg cereal guy.
He's his brother.
It's the brother. So one guy made cereal. The other guy created healing arts using light in the early and late 1800s, early 1900s.
Yeah, that's kind of a disturbing story. They thought that out of control male libido was a societal problem, so they invented cereal to control that.
Did it work?
And I believe so. At this point, it's definitely, we have the opposite problem nowadays. So, but Dr. Kellogg was amazing. He was doing this and arc light therapy and some other therapeutics in his spa in Battle Creek, Michigan. And so all these guys were doing this amazing stuff, and this dates back to even before that. But anyway, my story is I saw this at the end. I was like, wow, I can actually build one of these myself. And it was cool, it looked different than a regular sauna, some of these regular infrared saunas you see out there. So I built my own. I used it right before bed. I had 4 250-watt bulbs. So you can see here's my portable product, the Photon. This is one 250-watt bulb of my own design. So in the beginning, I just had 4 regular heat lamps, and I sat in front of it and sweat and did a sauna session and slept well. And I was intrigued by that. So I used it again before bed the next night. And from then on out, I didn't really have any sleep problems, which intrigued me, right? Because like, how could it be that simple? Light, sweating, I'm not doing anything in there, right? I'm not working at anything. I'm just being. And so I kept using it for about 6 months, and I had all these other issues clear up, including ones I didn't notice. So I noticed at the end that I had brain fog but before I had previously, and I had kind of, I was irascible, I had mood issues, and all that kind of resolved. I had more patience, even with my mom, and more positivity, more just unlimited kind of energy throughout the day, and things that before would really get to me and get me irritated weren't doing that anymore. So that was the inspiration for Sauna Space, because I looked around and I was like, why can't you buy this type of technology, incandescent light based sauna technology? It wasn't available in the market at all, and that was 11 years ago. So I poured my heart and soul into it, and some tears and some sweat, and here we are, 10 years later. I have a factory in Missouri and a store now, and we're kind of a force of nature in the sauna world, in the light therapy world.
That's really awesome. How do you feel about Joe Biden trying to make it illegal for people to buy incandescent light bulbs a couple months ago?
Yeah, well, the funny thing is that starts out with George Bush Jr. In like 2008, and that's just accelerated. Yeah, they're trying to remove therapeutics that are natural and known to work. And this is something people think that incandescent light is just for lighting purposes, for task lighting, but it actually has this huge healing component in the spectrum it's emitted by the light bulb that we don't see. That's called near infrared. So you mentioned red at the beginning. Yep. There is red, but there's a lot more near infrared that we don't see. And that's really the healing wavelength band of the sun and of nature. And we understood this 130 years ago. We actually understood this a lot, many thousands of years ago. So there's this paint called Egyptian blue, and the Egyptians used it, and they painted on the most important figures, on the gods and on the kings. If you look at the hieroglyphics and the paintings and the masks and the crowns, they would highlight everything with Egyptian blue. So Egyptian blue is a unique paint blend that when you shine white light on it, it reflects only near infrared. So it reflects this healing band, and they would use that because they understood the sort of this magical special power of near infrared. And that's also reflected in our inner biology. And then if you go back way farther than that, think about fire. So the only sources of light in our environment for eons really has been the sun, which has a lot of full spectrum, has a lot of blue light and ultraviolet light, and the fire. And you didn't really have fire so much during the day. You had it after dark.
Right.
So after dark, our experience has only been with near infrared light for tens of thousands of years, maybe hundreds of thousands of years. Who knows?
That's awesome.
So we have this magical lineage of having near infrared in our lives all the time. And the incandescent light bulb was this brilliant new alchemy. It was like, hey, we can use electricity, which we can now make, by burning oil and coal and stuff, and we can recreate fire in this new way and have it in a much more convenient way, than a bonfire or fireplace. So they all understood that, and unfortunately, they're trying to make things a little bit more energy efficient, a little bit more electrical consumption efficient. But what they've done is they've removed the healing component of the light, the component that we don't see. Some of it heats you, and then some of it stimulates mitochondrial response and healing effects in the body. And it is unfortunate. They are still available, a lot of them. You just have to get them, like the specialty incandescent bulbs are not banned at all. So these types of bulbs, infrared bulbs, black light bulbs, refrigerator bulbs, and anything that's sort of classed as specialty. So you can still get those. You just have to know what to look for.
Well, I want you to show the red light again. Show what you designed, recreated.
Yeah.
And then tell them what it took to design the light bulb itself.
Yeah. So the light bulb I started designing in the beginning because I wanted to improve upon the standard heat lamp, which looks like this. It's a big, huge 250 watt heat lamp shaped bulb. It's a floodlight shaped bulb. It's an incandescent bulb. And I wanted it to emit more near infrared. So in the beginning, I kept testing this took about 4 years from the beginning till about 5 years ago or more, where I kept testing different filament windings and for different filament design to get the filament to run at a hotter temperature, basically. And what that does is that upshifts the spectrum into more near infrared, closer to red. So the peak of it results in there being more photobiomodulation wavelengths, more light therapy wavelengths, and also more of the deeply penetrating radiant heat wavelengths, just like what the sun does. So when I finally got that right, it created a 250 watt bulb that delivers like 2 to 4 times the amount of light therapy and more heating wavelengths that are radiant than the 100-year-old light bulb.
All right. So for me, I want to know, how did you actually test the infrared, the light we can't see? How did you test that you were getting more infrared light out of this light bulb?
So you can use an irradiance meter. So you're testing. You can use a spectrometer and irradiance meters, basically meters that are showing you the spectrum of light, and an irradiance meter is showing you the power, the dosage of light. So in light therapy, we measure how much light therapy we get in milliwatts per centimeter squared. So you can measure this across different bands of light and compare it, of course, to other light sources, and you can see what you're getting. And we just kept doing this again and again and again. And it was test after test after, it was just took many, many years. And then we finally got it right. And we also, I wanted to be like more well-made than a regular light bulb. So most of the heat lamps are dyed red. They're just painted red. This is the way light bulbs used to be made a long time ago, like 50 years ago, and it's stained glass. So when it's stained red, there's a little bit of blue light that the filament still emits, and that's blocked by the red glass. So what we're getting is only that healing band. That's awesome. Just like our ancestors understood, with the fire, and the Egyptians understood, and also with lupus. So before electricity, the first light therapy that they used that was very effective in healing lupus was they put a lupus patient in front of a red stained glass window, and the light from the sun comes through, but the ultraviolet and blue is mostly reflected out, and the near infrared and red come through, and they would actually heal lupus that way.
That's incredible.
Before electricity, before light bulbs. And then of course we're doing the same thing here now.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to show the audiences like your website. Shall we do that? I want them to see it. All right. Now this is his website, sauna.space. All right. Now, everyone at home can see this. This is where you can actually see his red light technology inside the sauna. You guys have been so gracious to come here and put that actual one inside my home, and we've been using it here for about a month now, and we use it every week, 3 times a week for me, about 5 times a week for my wife. And this sauna, I love. I mean, I absolutely love this thing. All right, so you want to show me anything on the site, or take the audiences through the site, how to learn more, study more?
Yeah, well, definitely all the products are in the shop, but if you go to learn more and click on the first link, so the drop down under learn more, click understanding infrared saunas, you can scroll down, then you can see the spectrum I'm talking about. If you go a little bit more, so this right here is the spectrum of the sun. So we've highlighted near infrared here in orange, but the sun is actually emitting all those wavelengths under the white curve.
Okay.
And yet it doesn't, so spectrally it's about 43% near infrared. But if you look at the sun's wattage you absorb, because the near infrared wavelengths penetrate the deepest into the body, it's like 70% of the sun's wattage you absorb into your body outside is near infrared. It's the vast majority of your experience every day is in this near infrared band because of that deep tissue penetration that's unique to the middle of that band, basically.
Yeah, right here.
So our experience with sunlight is more than anything an experience with near infrared. And it has light therapy effects, has healing effects, inflammation reduction effects. It activates cellular melatonin in the body's #1 antioxidant. It's 94% of the body's melatonin is made in the cells under the stimulus of near infrared light.
That's awesome.
And then if you scroll down a little bit more, you see this is
your fancy red light stained glassed red light bulbs.
This is my thermal light bulb, yeah. And then this is the spectrum of that. So you see the difference here. The thermal light bulb peaks in the near infrared, where the sun's spectrum peaked in the visible range. So it's peaking over here. So there's ultraviolet light and a fair amount of blue light all in this area.
Got it.
You scroll back down, you can see that this is a cooler light source. So the sun's like 5,500 Kelvin. That's like over 6,000 degrees. And the filament in here is about 2,500 Kelvin or so. It's about half the temperature of the sun. The light producing metal inside that the filament's made of is tungsten. Oh. So that makes it peak here. So we get a concentration where we're mimicking the sun's natural light. That's broad spectrum, it's full spectrum, but it's just peaking a little bit in the lower energy in the near infrared. So you can see that the majority of the emission is in this light therapy and radiant heat therapy, what I call optimal heat therapy band.
Sure. Now, this is us geeking out on the science of all this stuff, but what people are going to want to know is, does it work?
Yeah. So it definitely works in terms of it heats you up a lot faster than a regular sauna. And you can speak to that. When you step into
Absolutely.
When you step into a sauna space, you don't preheat it. You just get inside. And in any sauna session, you want to sweat out a pound of water and raise your core temperature 3 degrees. So in my sauna, you don't preheat, you just get in. And in our 4-bulb system, which you see here in the picture,
see a little switch right here. This is where you turn on the lights, the light bulbs here.
You just turn those on. And if you want maximum power, you turn on all 4. It takes about 25 minutes. You sweat out a pound of water. And you're sweating and you raise your core temperature and you've achieved the outcome of the sauna session. You're getting the benefits that
it is awesome and it works and it is phenomenal. You don't have to preheat it. You just get in and turn them on. And within like a minute, I'm already sweating.
Yeah, you're already sweating. Now, Brian, you have what we call our super sauna. So it has an extra 3 light panel inside of it.
Well, let's see if we can show them. Do you have that on here?
I don't have it on here, but if you go to the shop and you click on the tungsten sauna panel, you can see that one more down. You can see that they come in 3 and 4 bulb versions. So that's the 4 bulb, and then there's a 3 bulb too. And you can actually add both of those. Yeah, click one more. You can add this one into our standard sauna setup if you really want to amp it up. If you want to make it, you reduce that sauna session time to like 15 minutes or less.
So it can look like this inside the sauna. And this is what we have downstairs in our home. And yeah, this is brilliant. It works. It is phenomenal. I stay in there for about 16 minutes total, 2.5 minutes facing each part of my body towards the lights, sitting on a little stool. And man, do I sweat. And I actually love the benefits of sweating without moving.
Yeah, that's also, I love that too. You're just being in the sauna. It is considered a workout though. It's considered like between a 70 and 100 kilowatt workout, but you're not doing anything. So the body goes into that healing mode.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely a sympathetic effect on the body in it raising your temperature and increasing your heart rate and stuff like that. But the body has all this energy you're putting into it, and it's not trying to run away from anything. So it goes into healing mode. It goes into detox mode, and you have so many benefits that happen during that sweating with cellular detox and cellular cleansing and shifting of the body and recalibrating of things. And then afterwards too, it extends well after the sauna session. It takes quite a while for your body to cool down, and that whole time you're continuing to get healing effects.
That's awesome. Now, I actually went into the sauna section. I want you to like look at these and describe to the audiences what's the difference, if there are different ones. We have the Illuminati.
Yeah, so the Illuminati is our standard sauna. It's all EMF shielded technology, so the panel is shielded, and it comes with a grounding mat in the bottom. That's actually bamboo that's connected, that has conductive material in it, and it's connected to the light panel's ground. So you're grounding there, which protects you from some of the electric fields, like the wire electric fields from electricity.
Sure.
And it comes with this organic, portable, beautiful enclosure that's easy to set up and is, machine washable, but it's all organic. Everything's untreated. All the wood is basswood, and the bamboo is organic bamboo. And then the stool itself is also just the basswood material. And it's all made to be like soft and quiet inside. So you don't have any distractions. A lot of these other saunas, they have, speakers and track lighting and all this gadgetry. And the point of the sauna is to go back to yourself, go back into your parasympathetic, return to yourself, and get away from the stimulus and the distraction so you can heal.
Yes, absolutely. And
So
this is exactly what the setup looks like in my home that we take advantage of every week. And it is aesthetically pleasing to look at. Looks really wonderful in our home. And I love the fact that you put your entire body in it. There are other saunas where you don't do that. You just your necks out of the units or whatever. But I actually wanted my whole body inside of a sauna, which is why I appreciate the design of this so much. And it is actually very pleasing to look at. You also have different colors schemes.
Yeah, so that was stone above. This is I think you have the natural color downstairs. So this is our hand-dyed turmeric. So I thought it'd be fun to go to in Ayurvedic medicine. They have this thing called Ayurvastra. It's the medicinal dyeing of clothing for healing purposes. So this cover is hand-dyed with organic turmeric spice in that old school Ayurvedic like process.
That's awesome.
And that's another example of something that took like 2 years to develop, and wasn't sure if it was going to work actually, but we do offer that now. That's a cool color. It's kind of a bougie color. But the Faraday, if you go back up for a second, the Faraday is just like the Illuminati, but it has an upgrade of what we call the EMF blocking shield. So that's what you have too. So it's a fabric that I developed that's 35% silver and organic cotton, and it also is machine washable. And we line the entire sauna with that, including the curtain. So, and that's also grounded to the light panel's ground. So the whole sauna becomes a grounded Faraday cage.
Yep. It is awesome.
And when you step in there, it's just, whoa, it's like quiet to the senses. You're like stepping into a kind of a pre-technology space.
Yeah.
And the body loves it. It loves, we get used to anything that is in our environment, all the time, but we weren't designed to have all this man-made EMF around us all the time. It stresses us out, And you guys, I was so glad to hear you guys talking about that at the conference. It's another poison vector, that's stressing us out. So to get that out of the sauna, so you have this really optimal healing session is really cool. So we offer that as an upgrade. Yeah. And you can see that we've got
fabric right here, the silver lining in the sauna space.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is an EMF blocking shield he talked about. That's half silver or 35% silver, and rest is cotton, all organic cotton. I really do love the detail you've taken into creating an organic, clean, EMF blocking, red light magnifying, infrared producing, amazing sauna for us at home to actually benefit from. These are examples of colors you can see down here. Maybe if I flip through these, you see you got blue, brown,
that's chocolate. And stone and turmeric. And there's also indigo, which is the blue.
Okay.
And the natural.
Yes, this is fun. Let's talk about your 100-day. I see something up here called a 100-day home trial. How's that work?
Yeah, you get to return it within 100 days in the United States and Canada. So I want to make sure it works for you. And sometimes with sauna, it takes a few weeks to like appreciate it. And then, and for some people, it takes longer. People who have body temperature regulation problems, or maybe have more health issues they're dealing with, they have to go slower. So they can't use 4 bulbs at once. They may start out with 1 or 2 bulbs. So we like to give them as much time as they might need to try it out. So 100 days, money back guarantee in the United States and Canada.
That's phenomenal. All right. Anything else you want to say about this incredible sauna you've developed? The red light you've helped to remanufacture even better?
Yeah, I'd talk about this photon. So back to this light. This is on the website too, but you can see it here in person. So this is the same technology that's in the sauna, and to tie it into this is a modernization of Dr. Kellogg's Photo Force, so his handheld light bulb healing device, and it's really special. It is used classically for single lamp therapy, so you shine it on the problem spot on your naked flesh, and it brings relief, it brings healing of one kind or another. But you can also have it for correcting the lighting, the toxic lighting that we have indoors. So, like this light above us and the screens that we're looking through, they all are LED based. So they're all emitting a lot of blue light.
Yeah.
And blue light is high energy visible light. It's damaging to us. Remember what I said before with the sun. So we're never supposed to get blue light after dark. And nowadays we're getting a lot of that.
All night long.
All night long, right? For most people. So if you can't get away from it, what can you do to optimize the indoor lighting environment? And this is an amazing way to do that. You can bring the outdoor light, the healing light of the outdoors, indoors with the photon. When you shine this in here and you have it just kind of in your space, it doesn't have to shine on you. If it's just in the bubble, in wherever you're sitting, it cancels out blue light and flickering light stress from all of this modern blue light, fluorescent light, LED lighting. And it makes the environment more aligned with who we are and what we're designed to get. And so in short, it makes you happy, it makes you feel good, it makes you calm down and zen and be zen, and it feels like you're in front of the firelight.
Oh yeah, we love it. Absolutely. All right, so a couple things that I learned recently and that we presented at the Healing for the Ages conference was the fact that the excess blue light we're all being exposed to intentionally actually activates and creates, as a biological weapon, genetic alterations in our DNA. Actually, it's harmful. So one of the things we presented at the Healing for the Ages conference was the fact that red light has actually been produced and technologies have been produced to help to offset and filter out the negative impacts of the blue light that we experience. Thus the design of what you created. Now, you sent something to me this morning that even made me more excited about this device as I get into it every week, and my wife every day. And that is the fact that red light, this type of infrared light, has actually been proven to actually neutralize and detoxify venoms in vivo in the human body. And you can talk a little bit about that, but to read through 10 studies that you sent me this morning, I was like, what? And we were going to actually make sure that's a part of this presentation. Everybody has links to those studies, but talk about were you impressed by reading that, or did you already know it?
No, actually, I was inspired to look that up after I went to the conference, because I've been learning so much about what you've been presenting about snake venoms being the core issue with COVID and with modern pharmaceutical research. And so it turns out, yeah, there are like 50 or 60 studies that I found in the PubMed. I didn't read them all, but I read a couple summarizing studies. And yeah, essentially red light. So photobiomodulation is the use of red and near infrared light to heal damaged and degenerate tissue and reoptimize function of healthy tissue. So we can do that in every cell of the body that has mitochondria. That's every cell of the body besides red blood cells. And so in those studies, they were using either red or near infrared light that triggers a mitochondrial response to alleviate the symptoms of envenomation in one kind or another. So some of it was like inflammation reduction. Some of it was helping to like capture and detox the venom peptide, or some of it was like the local effects of a snake bite, versus other ones were more sort of the cellular biological effects of the snake venom, not just locally, but what it does to the nerve cells.
Oh yeah.
So I was really excited about that, because it's another reason, to use this and to have it in your life. It's all about getting these poisons out of our body. And
absolutely.
And this unique combination of using incandescent light to have this alliance of heat therapy for its detoxification and its reoptimization through heat shock protein production, and then the light therapy for all of its own benefits. It creates a stacked approach that is more effective. Yeah.
That's phenomenal. Okay, so I'm very excited about the fact that this will neutralize venoms And I have to actually, I'm super thrilled. One of the reasons why I'm using it every day, of course, my audiences know I was physically poisoned, attempted to be anyway, in our own reverse osmosis filtered water that was being delivered to our home over a 6-month period. We actually had it tested and found that remdesivir was being put in that water, and multiple snake venoms were in the water. And so to have a technology like this at our disposal to actually help prevent as much of the additional poisonings we might be exposed to in our life. And just so y'all know, if you don't think red light would be beneficial in your life, because maybe you don't think you've been exposed to venoms, you haven't been paying attention. Glyphosate, since 2003, they've actually been testing it. That has every single mechanism of action and injury that every single venom on earth does, which is when it gets inside the cells of your body, it chelates out copper and zinc, sucks in iron and magnesium. And this is where you're going to get the damage and the ill effects on the mitochondria inside the cells of your body. So to neutralize those as much as possible, using red light and infrared light therapy, to me, is an extremely intriguing and exciting probability, and to have that accessible to people. So I'm very thrilled about that. All right. So glyphosate mimics the action of venoms. In fact, I believe it's designed to be synthetic venom. Monsanto, that owns glyphosate, actually owns the largest patent library of insecticides made from venoms. Did you know insecticides were made from venoms? Snake venom, scorpion venom, wasp venom, and spider venoms. Monsanto owns the largest patent library of insecticides made from venoms. And they also own and have created something called glyphosate that mimics the actions of all venoms. This is where they probably designed the machinery of the component that is called glyphosate. It does exactly the same thing every venom in the body does.
Wasn't it originally patented as an antibiotic back in the
It was
in the 70s?
Yeah, it kills microorganisms. Okay, good. All right, so very exciting to actually share it with you, but I am very thrilled also that you brought up the Flexner report for this one reason. Okay, while they were back in the day, before we were ever born, we had these brilliant scientists and doctors producing red light therapeutics for all kinds of neurological and organ diseases like lupus, tuberculosis, pulmonary tuberculosis included. I read it in there.
Neuropsychiatric problems too.
Yeah, and I don't know if you knew this, but so a guy named Abraham Flexner is the guy that wrote in 1910 and published something called the Flexner Report, which you mentioned earlier in this interview. Did you know, Brian, did you know that in 1902, his younger brother, Simon Flexner, was doing research in only one thing in 1902 and publishing it as a medical doctor? He was researching snake venom.
Oh, goodness.
In human bodies and how it creates blood clotting and blood thinning called hemorrhaging, right? So everything you read about the Marburg virus, Ebola virus, and their symptomatology mimics the actions of all venoms, causing massive micro blood clotting that leads to hemorrhaging, bleeding out of your eyes, nose, mouth. That's what Simon Flexner was publishing and studying snake venom research early as 1902. I wouldn't be surprised if we look even further into that. We'll see that they were already figuring out how to neutralize this using incandescent lights and infrared technology to neutralize those venoms, which would have been one of the reasons why the Flexner report would have made sure all of that was dismissed for the Rockefellers and the Carnegies when they wanted to take over the medical industrial complex. So anyway, I didn't know if you knew that. I just learned that this last couple of weeks ago, is that he's the one that determined and actually termed the phrase hemagglutination from snake venom in 1902, Simon Flexner. Go figure. Anyway, all messed up. Okay. Anyway, I want you to look at the camera and I want you to tell the audiences how thrilled you are over the last 10 years to have a product that is as aesthetically pleasing to the eye and as effective technologically to improve the health of people worldwide. Go ahead. Tell the world why that is they need this and why you're so excited about it.
Yeah, this is the best way to incorporate so many aspects of healing into your life in such a rapid way. It only takes like 20 minutes or less a day, a couple times a week, and you're getting so many things done. People are focused on the gym, they're focused on supplements, they're focused on sleep, and this does all of those things. It nourishes the body, it cleanses the body, it makes sleep better. It is a passive workout. It's all of these things, and it's so easy to use. And when you sit in there, it also brings in this opportunity for mindfulness, for being. And probably one of the biggest aspects of healing, one of the biggest issues is relaxing the nervous system. Everybody's so jacked up. And how do you do that? So we're beings of light, and you can use light to do that. And you sit there and literally do nothing, and you have all this stuff that's happening. So I just wanted to, in the beginning, look and feel better, and I'm so grateful that I stumbled upon this, and I've been using it, for 10 years now, and it's kept me extremely healthy, and I very rarely get sick. Even when we had, a few years ago when COVID went around, it didn't really affect me that badly. I was able to get back to work really quickly, and I noticed that also in our community. So it's all about taking care of yourself, nowadays, so that you don't get into that state where you get hit by, the freight train of health, and you get really out of whack. So this is, for me, and for so many people now, it's a it's a mainstay. It's a daily maintenance thing that also has this cognitive benefit and this sort of spiritual being benefit that is, you can't measure that. It's a priceless.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you creating this product, and I have to say this to the audiences. All right. In the time of bioweapons, which we came together and created the Healing for the Ages conference intentionally to help you have as many solutions as possible to the biological weapons they are using to actually cause massive amounts of illness, death, and disease, as much as possible to keep you sick and needing their drugs or their vaccines or their surgeries. So in the time we live in right now, I think God has inspired individuals around the world to have experiences where they then are motivated, self-motivated to find healing modalities and technologies. And I don't think this is any different than what you have done over the last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Suffer a little with acne and other issues and insomnia, and then come across a therapeutic inspired by your mother to tell you about, and then, or to consider saunas in general. And then you went off to learn more about saunas, and then it led you to information like this. So for anybody in the audiences who are wondering, should I make the investment inside of Sauna Spaces products? I would first tell you, you need to learn about light therapeutics probably first. So if you want to make a small investment, go buy this book and learn what it is that it was able to do 100 years ago in the realm of health and healing. What are the benefits? And then once you do that, it's a 100-day free trial to get a sauna space in your own home. And I would recommend everybody at home to do that. We are going to be bombarded with EMFs, Wi-Fi, 5G radiation, you name it, blue light for sure. Technology will continue to be more pervasive in our own lives. And we should be taking the time to take something as simple as this, to put this in our home and make it accessible to ourselves, our loved ones. I haven't even thought about it, but probably even for pets. You could probably use it, take your own little pet in there with you, and protect them as well.
Oh, yeah.
So all of life benefits by infrared light that the sun provides for us. And we've become majorly sedentary and sheltered outside of those frequencies. So to have those in our home I think is a huge blessing. So use the promo code Ardis. I'm going to tell you right now, use ARDIS. It'll give you a discount. Get this thing in your home. You have 100 days to try it. And we're very excited to hear your testimonials as you use this sauna. And we can't wait to bring this information and technology into your home. Any last words?
Oh, I'm so thankful, Brian, for you trying it out, and for everybody. It's all about in the feeling of it. It's sometimes it seems exotic, like how can light do all this stuff? How can heat do all this stuff? But the literature is clear and the research is clear, and it all comes down to just trying it out. Once you feel it, it's, especially if you've tried LED light therapy, you've tried regular sauna, this feels quite a bit different. It has a very unique feeling that's very, very calming, very zen, very different than those other saunas and LED light products out there. So you got to just try it. That's why we have the trial period, and you won't go back.
All right. This has been a special presentation. I'm Dr. Brian Ardis. Go to sauna.space to learn more about the sauna space technology, the red light therapy, light therapeutics by Dr. Kellogg. Go purchase the book and learn more. Thank you, Brian, for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
And we're so excited to hear from our audiences how they also grow, improve in their own life, their own experiences, their own activities of daily living, as their symptoms dissolve and disappear as God intended us all to live, I think, on this earth. I don't think God put us down here for us to suffer every day of our life. And he gave us the sun. I didn't create that. Did you create the sun? No, he gave us something to give us the infrared technology to actually help us heal and stay healthy. Yep. And we men have figured out how to get ourselves out from underneath the sun and then convince people that those infrared wavelengths are toxic, deadly, cancer causing, when in fact they were nothing more than immune boosting, detoxifying, and helping to repair our tissues. All right. This has been a special presentation by the Dr. Ardis Show. I'm Dr. Ardis. Thank you, Brian Richards, for coming in.
Thank you for having me, Brian.
and presenting your sauna space technology you've worked so diligently for the last 11 years to develop.
Thank you again.
All right, audiences, God bless you. We'll see you next time. All right, so Brian Richards, I have a question. Why sauna? In fact, why light sauna? What are some of the benefits? Rattle them off here.
So more than anything, we use sauna to reduce all-cause mortality. That means we use sauna to reduce our risk of dying of all things. It's a pretty awesome benefit. The other benefit that we see in long-term human population studies is reduction in the risk of dementia. And so living longer and your brain works better. And what we see in those studies, these are the Glaucanon studies, is that if you use sauna 1 day a week, it decreases your risk of dying like 30-40%. If you use sauna 3 times a week, it decreases that risk another 20 to 40%. Wow. And they followed that same population, it was like 2,000 Finnish males for 20 years to conclude that. And then they followed them for another 5 or 6 years, and they found the same results in risk of developing dementia. So we use sauna to live a longer, healthier life, what's called our health span. So it increases the years of your life that you're healthy and your brain works better the whole time. So that's like sauna. There's so much more research beyond that into pain reduction and improvement of the neurological system and all these different, disease categories. But that kind of sums up sauna.
Can I ask one more question? Is there any evidence or research that's been done to talk about the DNA benefit or genetic benefit of light therapy? Does it help repair genetics? Does our DNA require light? Have you seen anything like that? There's lots of discussions of concerns about genetic alterations, DNA damaging. 5G radiation does double-stranded breaks of DNA. Is there any benefit that we know of or that you've seen in your research?
Yes, there absolutely is. So light therapy, as I said before, you're using light to heal damaged tissue and to reoptimize healthy tissue. One of the very unique aspects of photobiomodulation, using red or near-infrared light to heal our cells, is the anti-aging effects that occur. So the near-infrared wavelength hits the mitochondrial enzyme and activates these cellular processes that include regulation of your transcription factors. So it gets your blueprint of your cell, your DNA, to be read better, and it helps change the formation, the epigenetic state of the DNA, and how it's kind of being copied and read and made into protein. So there's absolutely a very unique anti-aging effect that only comes from light therapy. That's not really in the sauna, in the heat shock protein aspect of things. It's very unique to light therapy, and that's every cell of the body. So if we're talking about repairing cell function in the nerves, in the brain, in the neurological system from TBI and things like that, and in the organs and every part of the body, absolutely, there's a very exciting DNA repair and sort of genetic blueprint reoptimization effect of light therapy.
Is there anything else you guys needed to hear? Anti-aging, come on, that's the thing that gets most women excited in this whole world. Go get the sauna, put it in your house. It'll keep you young and youthful and healing faster than normal than you're experiencing in life anyway. All right, so I think that's all they needed to hear. Anti-aging helps you live a longer, healthier life without symptoms. You repair faster, heal faster, recover faster. All right, anything else you can think of?
With light therapy, I'd just also list a couple other things. So it's used for wound healing, it's used for inflammation reduction, and for reduction in pain and other things, and all the things that we mentioned about the use of light therapy for helping with envenomation symptoms. All of those cellular effects are overlapping to resolve the system, so get the poisons out and restore cellular function.
All right, so I think a lot of people wonder about lights because it's a new concept for many people that light can be a therapeutic or have any impact on our physiology. However, I actually would answer that to most of my patients for 20 years because I did laser therapy in my offices. And so to help with any kind of illnesses, injuries, wound healing. So I just want to remind the audiences, what are lasers? Lasers are nothing other than light, and they can use laser light therapy to actually correct vision in your eyeball. I mean, light is a very powerful source of energy, and we can use that for damaging our cells, and we can use it for therapeutic reasons. Just remember, just because it's new doesn't mean it hasn't been taken advantage of, and we don't have common knowledge that it is a powerful, energetically impacting device. light.
We're beings of light, and that's not just a saying. We have light receptors in every cell of the body. And if we talk about the mitochondria, we talk about millions, thousands, and millions of light receptors in every cell of the body, with trillions of cells. So our whole all of our systems are taking in light from the sun or from the fire, from an incandescent bulb, and they're converting it into healing processes. And how the mitochondria talks to the nucleus is with near infrared wavelengths. There's all these different systems at the quantum level that ultimately we're beings of light, and we're using electrical systems to ultimately control everything that's like biological and physiological. It has this fundamental electromagnetic system at its core. So we're absolutely just like plants. It's just we need a different spectrum, really. It's this near infrared spectrum. So we're absolutely affected and influenced by light. That's why when you go into a mall, the lights are really bright and it's a lot of blue light. It's to get your nervous system all excited. That's why when, you know, a commercial comes on, the light is brighter than the TV show or the movie you're watching. The sound's louder.
I noticed that.
And all of that is because the industry understands that light you can use light to control people.
Oh, for sure. All right. Those are all great tips. Anything else you think of?
No, that's sort of light therapy in a nutshell. You can look all this up also on my website on sauna.space. You can go down to the research archive, and I've organized research articles that are related to sauna or light therapy according to topic. Awesome. So you can kind of click on the topic and check all that stuff out. That's just a sampling of, you know, thousands of sauna therapy studies and probably 7,000 or 8,000 light therapy studies now in the PubMed. That's awesome. And growing.
All right. Well, we look forward to testimonials coming in. It's one thing to read it in research studies. It is really cool to have people walk up to you or report to you just how much healing has occurred in their own life with any therapeutic or recommendation we give to people. So I'm excited to hear from the audiences. How did Sauna Space help you out? We want to hear, and we want to share that with the rest of the world. It's going to be exciting.
Awesome.